Hi guys, this is organic nomenclature and we are going to be naming amines. So the general formula of amines based on which type of amine it is. So there are three types of amines: primary amines, secondary amines, and tertiary amines. So based on the three types of amines, we will have our general formula. So first of all, we need to understand what these amines are. So we have ammonia, which is NH3, and amines are derivatives of ammonia. So, how are the derivatives of ammonia? If we have one hydrogen atom in ammonia replaced by an R group, we end up with RNH2, which are called primary amines. If we have two of the hydrogen atoms replaced by an R group, we end up with R2NH, which are known as secondary amines. And if we have all three hydrogen atoms in ammonia replaced by R groups, we end up with compounds having the formula R3N, and these are known as tertiary amines. So all of these amines have a general formula of either RNH2, R2NH, or R3N. So the formula based on the number of carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen atoms would be, in the case of primary amines, CnH2n plus 1 NH2. In the case of secondary amines, this would be CnH2n plus 1 taken twice if they are the same. In fact, it's a general formula, so it's taken twice. NH, and in the case of tertiary amines, this formula would be CnH2n plus 1 taken thrice and with a nitrogen atom. So this is the general formula of each of the types of amines that we have. So primary, secondary, and tertiary amines based on the number of R groups attached to the nitrogen atoms, and these are derivatives of ammonia. So now, in order to name these amines, we start with the primary amines. So primary amines. So in primary amines, we've got a single R group. So CH3 NH2. So this can be named as methyl amine, or it has an alternate name of amino methane. Similarly, if you've got two CH3 groups or other two carbon atoms, not CH3, one would be CH3, the other would be CH2. So CH3, CH2, NH2, this could be named as ethyl amine, or it could be named as amino ethane. So if we have three carbon atoms present, so that would be CH3, CH2, CH2, and NH2, and this would be labeled as propyl amine, or it would be labeled as 1 amino propane. The reason for introduction of the number 1 here is that the position of the NH2 group may vary. So it can go from being on the first position to being on the second position. So if we have the NH2 group present on the second position, so the name of this compound becomes 2 amino propane. We will not use the terminology of propylamine if the position of the NH2 group has changed. Similarly, if we have the NH2 groups multiplying in a compound, that means if you have more than one, for example, if you've got NH2, CH2, CH2, and NH2 present, this compound would now be called based on the number of carbon atom on which the NH2 groups are present. So 1 and 2. So this will be called 1, comma 2 diaminoethane. And likewise, if all three of the carbon atoms present in propane, CH2, CH, CH2, if all three of them have one NH2 group present on them, then the compound here would be labeled as 1, 2, 3. So 1, comma 2, comma 3 triaminopropane. Next, we would be naming secondary amines. In secondary amines, we've got two R groups present on a nitrogen atom. So we can have a CH3 attached to a nitrogen atom having a hydrogen and another CH3 group on it. So since there are two CH3 groups present on the nitrogen atom, we will call it dimethyl amine. However, if we have both the R groups being different, for example, we have a CH3 here, a nitrogen atom with a hydrogen and a CH2 and a CH3 group attached. Now we will have to make one of these R groups as a substitute group. And like the nomenclature before this, the longest carbon chain would be the parent carbon chain. So this compound would be called as uh, propylamine, or rather two carbons. So it's ethylamine, not propyl, ethylamine. And the methyl group would be called the substitute group. So the substitution here is taking place on the nitrogen atom. So this compound would be called N-methyl because the methyl group is on the nitrogen atom. So in place of the number for carbon, we use the letter N for nitrogen. So N-methyl, and we've got two carbon in the parent compound. So ethyl amine. This would be the name of this compound. And if we have both CH3 and CH2 groups present on nitrogen at two different positions, just like the first compound we just named, this would be called diethyl amine. Next, we would be naming tertiary amines. Now, in tertiary amines, we have three R groups present on the nitrogen atom. So this could be a CH3 group on the nitrogen atom at three different positions, which would result in naming of this compound being trimethyl amine. We can have a tertiary amine with one CH3 CH2 groups and two CH3 groups present on it. So in this way, the naming would be the longest chain would be the parent compound, which would make it ethylamine. And since there are two methyl groups substituted on nitrogen atoms, this would be named as N, comma N dimethyl ethyl amine. Or we could have two ethyl and one methyl group on the same nitrogen atom. So that would be CH3, CH2, N, CH3, and CH2, CH3. So this would make it as N ethyl, one of them being the substitute group. Then we would have N methyl because alphabetical preference is given. And then we would have the parent compound name as ethyl amine. Or we could have a compound in which all three R groups are different. So CH3, CH2, CH2, then we have N having a CH3 on it, and a CH2 and a CH3 on the other two positions on the nitrogen atom. So here the longest carbon chain becomes the parent, and the name of this compound would become N-ethyl, N-methyl, giving preference to the alphabetical order. And then the parent compound name with the longest carbon chain would be propyl amine. And this is how you name primary, secondary, and tertiary amine.